All right, Shalom, Shalom. Kahala Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh. All right, what's going on, y'all? This right here is a response, a personal response for the brother Henry in my comment section. And the brother's been, he's been presenting some nice scripture and information, and he's been asking me to kind of go in deeper on this Greek topic. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say this first. I don't have all the knowledge on anything. I don't have all truth. You know, I just try to do my part. But if I can present something that will help you, then, you know, I'm happy. So let's go ahead. Let's get to work. This is in regard of the other video that I dropped. And it's just a small continuation on the Greek people. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully this answers your question. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go into Genesis 10. If we would, go to Genesis, the 10th chapter. And I want you to look at verse... and it's going to be in, we're going to look in Japhet's line. So it's going to be Genesis 10, and we're going to look at verse number 2. It says, the sons of Japhet, Gomer, Magog, Madi, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tyrus. Now, hopefully this right here is going to help you. All right, first thing first, it says the sons of Japhet, Gomer, Magog. So Japhet had seven sons, I believe. And the thing is, Japhet has always been our enemy for the most part. They just have. And I'm right here at work. You see, I'm on the forklift. I do have my stones at work. So trying to give you a little bit of this. Okay, Javan would actually be the people who would be the Greeks. All right. But here's the thing about these Greeks. I often try to say there's the people who originally inhabited the land, and then there's the people who overthrew them and started assuming rulership, or the people who, i.e., stole their identity. So first thing first, because we're going to deal with, you said the Greek and the Tyrus thing. All right, well, when you go to Genesis 10 and you look at verse number 2, both of these sons are listed in here. That's going to be Javan, and that's going to be Tyrus. And for anybody who doesn't recognize Tyrus in Genesis 10:2, this would be Tyre, the same city. These are just the people, and Tyre is the city. Does it make any sense? All right, let's keep going. So next thing we're going to do, I would like to jump up to Joel. I believe it's in Joel. So I make sure I'm in the right place. And like I said, as you see, I'm right here at work. Ain't no computer cheating, ain't no none of that. Just going off the memory that Yahweh's giving me. So go to Joel, the 4th chapter. And what we need to do, we will start in Joel 4 and start looking at verse number 3. It says, and they cast lots upon my people, and gave a boy for a harlot's fee, and sold a girl for wine and drinking. Also, what are you to do to me, O Tyre and Sidon, and all the districts of Philistia? Are you paying requital to me? And if you are requiting me, swiftly and as soon as I will return your acquittal upon your head. For you have taken my silver and my gold, and have brought my desirable good possessions to your places. And you sold the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem to the children of the Greeks, in order to distance them from their border. So Tyre and Zidon, these are going to be two of the nations that had a very much hand in exporting us when we was at times of war. See, they wouldn't pull these actions until somebody tried to run in on us. And what is this telling you? When people try to run in on us, these people would literally start exporting people. Now, let's back this up. And remember, we're going to say the children of the Greeks. So then go to Ezekiel. I believe that's about the 27th. Yeah, go to Ezekiel, the 27th chapter. And then go to, we're going to look at verse number 13 through 16. It says, Javan, Tubal, and Meshech, they were your peddlers. With human soul and copper vessels, they provided your merchandise. So what is this again? Javan, Tubal, and Meshech. Who are they confederate with? They are, just in case you don't believe it, go look at number 1 verse in Ezekiel 27. It says, the word of Yahweh came to me saying, now you, son of man, take up a lament for Tyre, and say to Tyre, which dwells in the harbors of the sea, merchant of the people, and many islands. So yes, this is a prophecy against Tyre. And what does verse number 13 tell you? Javan, Tubal, and Meshech, they were your peddlers with human soul and copper vessels. What is this important for? Because I'm showing you that Tyre is Japhet, and Tyre, the king of Tyre, he has always had a hand in us being removed. And like I said, they wouldn't do this head up with us. They would wait till somebody else came and attacked us. So from these actions right here, some of us ended up living in Greece. All right. And this is well before the time of the Maccabees. So, and I've demonstrated to y'all in the other video, I showed you that some of those people who you thought were Greeks were Israelites who had been living in Greece. Why? Because they're being sold and they're being traded. It's human traffic. All right, let's keep going. It says, from the house of Togarmah, horses, riders, and mules, they provided your wares. Then the Dan were your peddlers. Many islands traded with you. Ivory tusks and peacocks have brought your tribute. Aram was your merchant because of your great wealth. So Tyre had amassed a lot of money, being on the high seas, actually being the people who would go do the trades. It never said they provided anything. It just said they would be the people actually going doing the trade. All right, let's keep going. Why? Because Tyre is an island right beside of Israel. Let's keep going. So then what we're going to do, we're going to go into the book of Daniel. And we go to Daniel number 11. And it says, it will start at, let's just start at verse number 20. It says, he said, do you know why I have came to you? Now I'll return to do battle with the heavenly prince of Persia. Then I will depart. But behold, the heavenly prince of Greece approaches. However, I will tell you what is inscribed in truthful writing. No one reinforces me against these, except for your heavenly prince Michael. And I, in the first year of Darius the Mede, stood up as support and with a stronghold for him. Now I will tell you the truth. Behold, 3 more kings will arise for Persia. The 4th will acquire great wealth from them all. And when he grows strong in his riches, he will arouse all the kingdom against the kingdom of Greece. All right, let's stop. When you're looking at this book of Daniel, Daniel's giving you a prophecy. And what he's letting you know is that Persia will have 3 kings in succession. But from these 3 kings in succession, they will attempt to go and take over Greece. Here's what happens. When they attempt to go take over Greece, Greece is being occupied by Javan, and it's being occupied by Gog and Magog and the Edomites. Now, just for anybody who wants to understand this, Edom mixed in with the Canaanites, Gog and Magog and Edom mixed in with Japhet. And for anybody else who don't know, Japhet and Edom and Canaan, they all 3 individually mixed with Cain's children. This is why they're not in their correct mind, as we see in this Torah. So let's keep going. But what is this showing you? This is showing you that it said there will be three successions of kings who come from Persia, but there will be another king who comes away from the Greece area. It never said he would be a Greek. It doesn't say that. It says this king will be there and will rule from there. And from that kingdom, he will have four kingdoms will break into pieces. Now, who is this person? This will be Alexander of Macedon. Alexander was not a Greek. He was a Macedonian. And in fact, Alexander was an Edomite. He was not a Greek at all. Because I'm going to show you this again. The Greeks would be Javan, and that would be strictly Japhet. So what ends up happening? Now, if you want a little bit of history on this, I would like you to go look up the battle of Brutus and Troy. And you have to study the battle of Troy to really understand what happens, because what happens after Troy? There's a dispersion of people. But who was Javan fighting in Troy? They was fighting Gog and Magog. All right? Let's keep going. So then, now, what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the Apocrypha. So I have my Apocrypha. I have my Apocrypha at work as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to go, I don't got time to hold the phone, y'all, so hope y'all be patient with me. We're going to go to the first book of Maccabees, and I've shown this a few times. I'm going to show it again. Go to first book of Maccabees, go to chapter number 12, verse number 20. Arius, king of the Spartans, sends greetings to Anias, the chief priest. It has been found in a writing concerning Spartans and Jews that they are kinsmen, that they are descendants from Abraham. Now I want to go up and I want to show you something very interesting. And we're going to actually look at verse number 14. It says, we have not wished to trouble you or our allies and friends about these wars, for we have the help that comes from heaven to aid us, and we have been saved from our enemies, and our enemies have been humbled. So we have chosen Nehemus, the son of Antiochus, and Anapta, the son of Jason, and have sent them to the Romans to renew the former relationships of the friendliness and the alliance to them. So what has happened? This is exactly what's happened. When we started kicking ass in the Maccabees, this is when Greece, the Greeks that we was kicking out, this is when they went and unified with Rome. And they emerged back as Rome, period. Now I'm going to show you who these people were, because I'm sorry, let me correct myself. They are not the Greeks. They are Edomites who started calling themselves Greek. This is where the big confusion comes in. I'll give you another example. Remember when Ptolemy went down in Egypt, what did Ptolemy do? He started calling himself Egyptian, but he was not an Egyptian. He was an Edomite, portraying the role of being a Greek. Why do they do this? A lot of people it's kind of confusing. It don't make sense. The book of Genesis, Cain told you. He said, I will be a vagabond and a wanderer for the rest of my days. The earth is only so big, okay? You can't run on the earth forever. So what is it easier to do than to keep running? If you change your identity, then you ain't got to leave nowhere. As long as you got people thinking you're somebody else, you ain't got to run. And this is why he said, a vagabond and a wanderer will I be. Not just meaning wanderer like a person walking. No, he's a wanderer. He's going from identity to identity. This is how Cain is on the run. And I just told you, Japhet, Canaan, and Edom. All three of those mixed with the children of Cain. So let's keep going. And I want to show y'all why the book of the Maccabees is so dangerous, why the Apocrypha is so dangerous to their establishment, because it names them directly for who they were. And let's keep going. In fact, we'll get that. And that'll be First Maccabees chapter 5, starting at verse number 1. It happened when the heathen round about heard that the altar had been rebuilt and the sanctuary rededicated as before, that made them very angry and resolved to destroy the descendants of Jacob that were among them. It says, and they began to kill and ravage among the people. And Judas fought against the son of Esau in Idumea and against Archabet, because they beset Israel and dealt them a very severe blow and crushed them and plundered them. So stop. What is this telling you? This is 1 Maccabees chapter 5 verses 1 through 3. This is telling you that the same people who ran in on us during the time of the Maccabees, those were not Greeks, those was Edomites, and it names them directly by name in 1 Maccabees chapter 5 verse number 3. All right, so clearly these people are not the Greeks, and this is the big deception. Everybody thinks, well, something the Greeks. It's not the Greeks. The Greeks was overthrown by Japhet and by Cain's children, or better yet, Edom. If you just want to call them a culmination, we call them Edom, but they're actually an amalgamation of all of these nations now. And let me see. I'm gonna go back now to 1 Maccabees, and I'm gonna start at verse number 10. That sprang from, you know what? Let's just get started at verse number 7. Alexander had reigned 12 years when he died. His servants succeeded him, each in his own domain. And after his death, they all put on crowns, as did their sons after. And for many years, they did much evil on the earth. There sprang from them a sinful shoot named Antiochus Epiphanes, the son of King Antiochus, and he had been a hostage in Rome, and he became king in 137 year of the Greek kingdom. Thank you. It doesn't say he's a Greek. It says he became the king of the Greek kingdom. Checkmate. So, and let's keep going. I'm going to jump down here to verse number 11. In those days there arose out of Israel lawless men who persuaded many, saying, let us go, make a treaty with the heathen around about. For ever since the time we became separated from them, many misfortunes have overtook us. The plan seemed good in their eyes, and some of the people went eagerly to the king, and he authorized them to introduce the practice of the heathen. So stop. What is this telling you? The Greeks were already being overthrown by Memnon. Memnon is not a Greek. He's an Ethiopian. I know. But just remember what we already went over in that last video. During the Greek kingdom, everywhere they went, they renamed the land and they renamed the people. And this is why when we say Memnon is an Ethiopian, but he was the general of the Greek time, it's like, wait, that's confusing. How can he be an Ethiopian and a Greek? That's the whole point, y'all. He's not. Because that name Greece did not exist then. Greece is a construct word that I just told you was made up by Alexander and those people. Can you go in the Torah and find the word Greece or anybody who's related to Greece in Genesis 10? No, you cannot. That's because that name was added by the Grecians, by the Greek people, and who were not even Greek. They were Macedonians. And how did these Macedonians get their power? They got their power because they succeeded the last king of Persia. And so the best way I'm trying to explain to you, Brother Henry, is that your studies are right, but what you're running into is the fact that people have been overthrown, and the people who took their land and their name are now assuming their identity, in which they was nothing but Edomites. In fact, y'all want to get a little history research? Look into this. The Romans had a war with the Gauls, and the Gauls are Japhet. That is Gog and Magog. But what did they do to the Gauls? When they conquered them, they renamed them the Galatians. And when you look in the New Testament, that is who that book is to, the Galatians. But who are the Galatians? The Galatians are Gog and Magog. So, just like I showed in the other video, when the names got switched around, this is where the confusion comes in at. And also, I like to kind of address this as, the confusion of Babel. Because why? The earth is not in one accord. We're not on one language anymore. And because of all of this, we all have these different languages. We all have this different dialect. And like I said, when the Greeks was out conquering, they renamed everything to names they liked. And for the most part, when it comes down to this Greece thing, that's pretty much all I have. We had already been living in Greece before the Edomites got there. This is facts, and that's biblical. So, just gonna finish this up by saying Kal Halal Yahweh. Hopefully this answers some of your questions. All I can say as of right now is food for thought is always grounds for further research. So with that, I want to say Kal Halal Yahweh. Hopefully, brother, this answers your questions and help you out with it. Until then, Shalom.